Well, hello there, you dirty dogs, and welcome back to Transfer Review, the last Transfer Review until January, where me and Pato take a look at the latest, the greatest, and the transfer rumours from across the week. On this week's agenda, we have Lewandowski. Does he still want to leave Bayern? Is Toby Alderweireld a long-term target for Pep Guardiola? Chelsea do a double sweep for a couple of youngsters who we could gather next to no information on. And Arda Turan, is he still going to go to Galatasaray? Who knows, Pato, but starting in Bavaria, let me know about Lever.
Yeah, we start with one of the hottest rumours. We will get to the nottest in due course. Right. Now, the Pole has started the season with 3 goals in 3 games, but apparently he could still be looking for an exit. Now, there's trouble in the German camp. It seems that he slated his teammates last season for not supporting him enough in his quest to win the Golden Boot over Dortmund's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He's also criticised Bayern's transfer policy. He said that they need to spend more money if they want to compete for the Champions League again. Of course, he missed that title win back in 2012-13. I don't know, is it money? Is it money?
I mean, their record transfer is still £40 million for Tolisso, which is great business acumen / are they just unwilling to, throw their hats in the current transfer market?
Yeah, well, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, who of course is the Bayern CEO, has been very displeased with Lewandowski's comments. He said he's employed with us as a player and earns a lot of money. I regret what he said. That's not how regret works. Whoever publicly criticises the club or his teammates will get in trouble with me personally. Oh, he's going to do him. Anyway, Bayern say he won't be leaving, but we've of course heard rumours that Man United, as they always do, they're sniffing around in case he could be tempted out of Zevenstrasse. So, Chris, how would he stack up against young Belgian Romelu Lukaku?
This could be similar to Mourinho's move for Diego Milito when he was at Inter Milan, right? Signing a striker who's in the form of his life but approaching his late 20s, might be able to get him for a little bit less. However, the question you asked, how does he compare to Lukaku? Well, despite playing fewer minutes last season, the Poland international scored an impressive 30 goals last season in the league. That's 5 more than Romelu. Of course, they play fewer games in the Bundesliga, don't they? Because there's only 18 teams, so a little bit misleading, maybe. But on average, Lewandowski takes more shots per game too, which is always a good barometer for how good a striker is, because it signals out how many chances they are carving out for themselves. However, Romelu Lukaku does have a higher shot accuracy.
Really?
With 64%.
What's Lewandowski's?
Per 90. I think it's 50% I have down here.
That's unusual, actually, because you think of Lewandowski as a really lethal finisher, but actually, Lukaku's getting more shots on target than him.
Both pretty elite. However, Lukaku does create more chances, Pat, with 1.3 a game compared to Lever's 1. And that's probably because Lukaku works the channels, doesn't he? He brings other players into play, whereas Lewandowski's often the point man, isn't he? He's often the furthest.
Well, it's silly for him to be creating, isn't it, Brian?
However, as Joe has told us time and time again, Mourinho is still after Griezmann, isn't he? He still wants the Frenchman for that forward line next season. Obviously, tried to get him this season. Griezmann said he's going to stay with Atleti because of the transfer ban, and I can see that happening. I think that's more feasible. But what do you guys think? Lewandowski or Griezmann? Let us know in the poll just above. Yeah, I went there. There's a poll in the poll. Nice.
Now a story from Football 365 who say that Toby Alderweireld, the Belgian centre-back at Spurs, might be on his way to Manchester City.
Ooh,
Chris.
Yes, Pat. Apparently he's a long-term target of Pep Guardiola, who is looking to bulk out that back line following the perpetual injury to his captain, Vincent Kompany. The centre-back has been valued at around £60 million, which to me sounds quite steep for a 28-year-old. But he's rumoured to have a £25 million release clause in his contract, which I think is...
That's got to be...
Yeah, but it keeps cropping up, doesn't it? So maybe there is some truth to it. Maybe there's some stipulations in there that we don't know about. Now, as I said, he could be an excellent replacement for his fellow countryman, Vincent Kompany, who only played 11 games last season and has already found himself on the sidelines yet again this season with that recurrent calf injury. That's just not going away, is it? No. And this guy puts a monumental amount of effort into getting back to fitness, and it's got to be taking its toll on him. Now, since Toby Alderweireld moved to Spurs, He's made 91 appearances, so he's a mainstay in that side, isn't he? But the big question here is, who would he replace in Man City's back line, right? Because if Vincent Kompany's out, okay, decent fit. But if he's not, then he'll probably play. Would he replace John Stones? They're both similar in the fact they like to distribute out from the back, don't they? John Stones is maybe more of a short ball player, whereas Alderweireld has that laser pinpoint pass. Otamendi, whilst a little bit calamitous at times, he has a different role, doesn't he? He goes and makes the tackles. That's why he has such high tackles and interceptions rates per 90. Please impart some of your wisdom to me on this subject. Who would you replace with Toby Alderweireld, / who should he replace?
Well, yeah, this is the issue for me. Look, Pep Guardiola, one of his first signings at Man City was John Stones, but Alderweireld is a much better fit for that Stones role than he is for Otamendi's role. Alderweireld wins about 1.9 tackles and interceptions combined per game. That's not a huge number, and that's not because he's a bad defender, it's because it's not what he's asked to do. He's got protection, he's got Vertonghen, who's a little bit more adventurous as a centre-back. His fullbacks do a lot of defensive work, and of course he's got a really solid midfield in front of him. Like you say, he's in the side to get them passing. Last season, I believe he was hitting about 6 long balls per game, accurate long balls. Now that's a huge weapon for a side to have. But again, like you said, he's 28 years old. And I wonder if Pep was looking for a long-term replacement, he'd be more inclined to go for somebody like Virgil van Dijk, who's 3 years younger. Maybe he isn't as accomplished as Alderweireld, he's not as reliable as Alderweireld, his positioning certainly isn't as good. But you'd imagine that he will give you that more active defender and some of the passing ability as well.
Especially for £60 million, right?
Well, if you've got 60 million quid, then Van Dijk seems the obvious option, right? He's going to shore up that defence for years to come. But what do you guys think? Would Alderweireld ever leave? Is his release clause 25 million quid? And do you think that Man City will make a play for him this summer? Let us know what you think in the comments below.
Next bit of news comes from ESPN, and it looks like Chelsea are looking to replace their outgoing Ute with Atakan Akayanak and Sebastian Caceres. I maybe pronounced their first names right there, but please shed a little bit more light on these two children for me.
Well, I'm going to talk about Atakan Akayanak, who's an 18-year-old midfielder now. Chelsea have been after him for a while. They've been scouting him apparently for the last year, and so have Barcelona. But this apparently isn't a Chelsea idea. It comes from Antonio Conte personally, and he's willing to get into a bidding war to secure the signing of the youngster. Now, he's currently under contract with Bayer Leverkusen until 2019. The German side, they apparently would be willing to cash in on him because, of course, they've got quite a lot of young talent that's come out of their academy. They've got Julian Brandt, they've got Kai Havertz, they've got Benjamin Henrichs. So maybe they realise at this point that they can't compete financially with clubs like Chelsea.
Yeah.
Last season, he played 24 games in the reserves, got 6 goals. He's not going to get into the starting 11 anytime soon. But Chelsea, normally very, very good at their talent evaluation at this level. So could be an interesting move for them.
Yeah, and they're not so good at moving it into the first team. The transition doesn't really take place. I'll take a look at Caceres then. I've got a few notes on him here. Obviously quite a hard guy to scout. Now, he's from Uruguay, as the name would suggest. There's a lot of Cacereses coming from that neck of the woods, isn't there? But he's the under-18s captain, Pato, and has attracted the attention of both Liverpool and Chelsea, with both clubs having sent scouts to South America to register their interest. Now, the young defender is also popular amongst Spanish clubs and has actually previously trained with Dutch club Feyenoord, obviously. But Dutch normally way ahead in terms of scouting out young talent from around the world, aren't they? However, me and you had a quick discussion about this beforehand, didn't we? Like, this summer, Chelsea have sold around £50 million worth of youth, and that includes Ake, Traore, Solanke, Patrick Bamford, to name but a few. One, will these young players see that and want to go there? And two, are they going to be any improvement on the outgoing talent that I just mentioned?
I think realistically, these players are not going to go into the squad or get anywhere near it. They're going to go straight out on 2-year loans probably. And actually, I think that they probably still will want to go there because a lot of these, particularly Caceres, because for Caceres to move to Europe, he will immediately get more attention. Chelsea are actually very good at getting their players experience in decent leagues. Of course, we've seen players like Traore. Traore's now got that great move to Lyon after probably one too many seasons out at Ajax.
Definitely.
Of course, at Vitesse as well. Solanke went to Vitesse to Bamford. I think was player of the season in the Championship with Middlesbrough a couple of years ago. Of course, Nathan Ake's impressed us as well.
There's Masonda too, who went on loan, I believe, to Real Betis.
Yeah, he did.
And he impressed in his 2 years there, and is still on the bench, and he's only on the bench because of that weak squad at the moment, because of the lack of central midfielders.
Well, there are a bunch of these players who are now regulars in top leagues. You know, Traore is one, as we've said. Chalobah has now gone to Watford. Ake, of course. There, of course, Patrick Van Aanholt. These are other players. And then a couple of them have got into the Chelsea team. So I suppose you could say if these players back themselves with their talent, they might think they could end up like Andreas Christensen or Thibaut Courtois, who of course now have made it into the team.
Victor Moses had to go out on loan for 5 years before he got a regular in the Chelsea side. So, you know, who knows? Maybe if they're persistent, it will pay off. What do you guys think? Have you got any more information on these two players for us South American fans? Let us know. Yes.
Our last transfer rumour comes courtesy of Marca, and they say Arda Turan has blocked a move to Galatasaray. This one seems like it's going to happen every single transfer window, and yet it never does.
Obviously, former Gala legend, so they'd welcome him back to the club with open arms, but you can see why he wants to stay at Barcelona. I think he'll feel like he's got unfinished business, especially after sitting on the bench for 6 months after his move from Atletico Madrid. Now, this is despite the Catalans apparently agreeing a 2-year loan deal with the Turkish sides, probably with a lofty loan fee too. He made 18 La Liga appearances last season. He claims to be very happy at Barca, and he's probably wanting to see out the rest of that contract, especially when he's being paid 85k a week and he's got 3 years left on it.
Whoa.
Pato, for that sort of cheddar, would you sit on your arse?
Yeah, I mean, I do it now for very little money, so I don't see why I can upgrade my bank account while doing nothing more. That would be amazing. Look, if I were Arda Turan, I would be kind of tempted to say, not just for the money, but also, you know, Ousmane Dembele's come in, and I think we all agree Ousmane Dembele is an amazing talent, but Valverde is going to switch system. He's already done it this season, so he might move things around as time goes on, which means Turan might get more opportunities.
Yeah, true.
Of course, Dembele is quite young too, and it might be that Turan is preferred in some games. We don't really know what's going to happen with Iniesta. He's now well into his 30s, and you might see Messi moving into midfield, or even going to be a striker, and then somebody else taking the place of Iniesta, and Turan might fancy that. 1.5 chances created per 90 last season. Very, very good. Pretty good defensive work rate as well. 3 assists and 3 goals in those 18 appearances.
Which is probably better numbers than Andre Gomes as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see them per 90, you know, like what his goals and assist rate like per 90 minutes, because I imagine that it's pretty damn good. And I think that Arda Turan is a useful player to have in your squad, even if he's not getting on the pitch all that much.
Well, Valverde, as you said, is switching it up to a 4-4-2, right, and playing Messi with Suarez up front now. So there should be more opportunities in midfield. Rafinha's perpetually injured, as you said. Andres Iniesta looks like he needs a 6-month-long break. Who else plays centre mid? Rakitic. Rakitic is probably going to be a little bit more fancied under Valverde than he was perhaps under Luis Enrique. Paulinho, that box-to-box dynamo that bangs at international level, and who knows what he'll do at club level. But yeah,
I think it could be an interesting season for Arda Turan, and even if it isn't, it will at least be lucrative.
So that was this week's transfer review, guys. We'll be back on the lead up to the winter transfer window. Until then, Pato, on a daily basis, what should people do? Because there's a new channel in the Football Daily family, isn't there?
There is indeed. 90+1 facts. There'll be a link up on screen at the end. Head over there and you will learn everything you could possibly want to know about Europe's best players, about the biggest clubs, about the Champions League, the Premier League, everything you could want, courtesy of our friend Kieran.
Bye.
Bye-bye.